or Patrones? Last February I got a BurdaStyle magazine, and in March I got a Patrones to try to clear out all the fabric I have and I didn't know what to use for, and it's been really fun because you helped me choose it. I leave you the links in the description down below of the 4 garments that I made. Of course, they are 2 different magazines and they have many differences despite being more or less the same, a pattern magazine. So after using it, I think I have an opinion and I have some conclusions, so here they are. I usually make my patterns myself, so it was really interesting working with them because I got to do different things I wouldn't have done on my own otherwise. For example, the opening on the back of the dress, of the BurdaStyle dress, or for example all the bias tape on the Patrones one was really interesting to do because it's easier to just make a normal opening, back opening.
A normal slit? Is it a slit? I think so.
Or just to double hem something instead of doing bias tape. But it's different details that they make the difference. So I really enjoy working with them anyways, and it's really interesting having them because you get loads of patterns and you get one every once in a while and you can sew for the rest of the year, can't you? With this video I don't want to create any teams, Team Burda, Team Patrones, buy this one, don't get this other one, this one is rubbish, this one is the best, or anything like that. It's just that while reading it and trying to trace the patterns, I had a few problems and I want to share it to see if you had the same and what you think about it. It's my opinion, I have some conclusions and I think they're valid. But I would like you to let me know what you think. And of course, let me know down in the comments which one do you usually use and which other problems have you had with it. The structure of the magazine is almost the same, it's very similar. You have your different models, you have your table of measurements, how to use your magazine, how to trace the pattern sheets, and the instructions. But apart from that, then they have many differences. The first little difference I saw was the quantity of patterns. They tell you right here, very big, the amount of patterns they bring, but it's not the same as the models. It says here 185 patterns and 153, but in reality, when you look inside, the Burda magazine in February brought 31 different models and the Patrones magazine in March brought 40. So it's a win for Patrones. I imagine this is different every month. I don't think it's always the same, but this is the data I have. Style. This is very difficult because it depends on your personality and what you like, of course. But I think they have differences. Burda has a very eclectic style. I think it has a mixture of many different styles, and on this one it brought many blouses, many skirts and dresses. On the other hand, the Patrones one is very cosmopolitan in my opinion, with shirts and trousers. But I have to say, I like Burda because of this mixture of different styles, but the Patrones has a whole section from the catwalk. So I think it's really clever and very interesting that you have catwalk garments to recreate with this magazine. So for that reason, this one goes for Patrones as well. Difficulty level. This is quite interesting. The BurdaStyle magazine has 4 dots in which they tell you how difficult the garment you want to recreate is going to be. So I think that's really interesting. On the other hand, the Patrones one hasn't got it, but it does have an easy label, an easy sticker on some of the models. but despite that, it's going to be a point for Burda. Among all the models they bring, they include children and they include plus sizes. They have the same amount, 4 different models for children, but the problem I see with Patrones is that it's only girls. But the BurdaStyle ones brings 2 unisex ones, so it's a point for Burda. Of course, I guess this changes every month, but this is the ones I have. And as for plus sizes, Patrones only brings 3 models on this magazine, and the Burda one brings 8, which is a point for Burda. And then we have the instructions, all the how to cut your fabric, how much fabric you need, the different fabrics you could choose for this project, and the instructions. I think it's the same more or less. The explanations, I think I got on better with the BurdaStyle one, but I'm not sure, so I'm going to leave it like that. It's a deal. And apart from all this common structure they have, I have a point for Burda because it brings loads of different extras. It brings a soft toy tutorial you can make, really cute, a purse as well, a sewing SOS, in this case pockets, which is really good, and 2 of the models are explained with more detail, with more pictures and more explanations, which is quite good as well. So when you get to the explanation section and all the different advice they give you, of course they have how to use their pattern sheet, they have all the models in a glance, and then they have the table of measurements. And I have to say, I really like the BurdaStyle one, point for Burda, because it has different measurements depending on how tall you are, which is really good because then the dresses and the skirts will fit you much better. So it's a point for Burda. And apart from that, I didn't like the Patrones measurements, the standard sizing, because it was bigger. Of course, you have a look and you measure yourself and you follow what they tell you to, but I thought it was a bit weird that it was so big. And when you get to the model you want to make, you realize that the Patrones magazine doesn't bring all the sizes, which was really surprising to me. Because I had previously worked with the Burda and it brings all the sizes, so it was a bit shocking and I didn't like it. So it's not difficult anyways, you just have to trace in between the 2 sizes you are, but it was surprising. So because it brings all the sizes, point for Burda. The code they bring, this one is really clear to me, it is a point for Burda. Why? Because it brings the sizes and the codes you have to follow, and that's it, no messing around. However, the Patrones one only brings 3 different codes for small, medium and big. So it's really confusing because the models start in different sizes, maybe on a 34 or on a 36, and of course the same the other way, on a 48 could be the big one or a 46 could be the big one. So it's really confusing because it doesn't say that a small size for them is a 36 or whatever. So it's really confusing and it gets me, I didn't like it at all. So it's a point for Burda. The pattern sheets. This one is the BurdaStyle pattern sheet and this one is the Patrones one. And of course, as you can see really easily, the Patrones one is not even half the size of the BurdaStyle one. And of course, because houses are smaller and it's much easier to work with this size, this point should be for Patrones, but I think this sizing has many other problems or makes other things more difficult, so the point is for Burda, even though it's bigger and more complicated to manage. Why? Because I think the sizing of the pattern sheet makes that you cannot have all your sizes in your models. I mean, if you want to trace, if you want to put all the different patterns with all the sizing in this very small pattern sheet, they won't fit and you will have loads of lines in there. It will be crazy. So in order to avoid that, they've got rid of half the sizes of the models. So I don't know to what extent this is useful. I think it's more useful to have all your sizes than to have a smaller pattern sheet. And apart from that, because it's a smaller, I think you will have to tape in more tissue paper, and it will be more difficult to work with it because you will have to trace things in different steps. So I think it's better to have a bigger sheet and have less problems. So it's a point for Burda. As well, on the pattern sheet you can easily spot that they have different colors. The BurdaStyle has the colors they've had forever, these really serious colors, the blue, the black, the red and the green. And on the other hand, the Patrones one has more modern colors, more pastels and, well, yes, modern colors. It took me a while when I was tracing one of the patterns because it has this orange color and it was quite difficult to follow, and I didn't want to trace it with a marker because I thought I would ruin the pattern sheet. So because they tell you to do it, I can't really complain because I couldn't see it properly. So I'm not going to give points to anyone, I'm just going to let you give your opinion. To help you find your pattern, they have different methods to doing that. The Patrones magazine has the models written down on what you're going to find on that sheet, and the numbers are really big, so it's easy enough to find it because the sheet is really small. On the other hand, the BurdaStyle magazine has this huge paper which you can easily get lost in. So they have a code in which they tell you where the number is located. You have to follow the number until you reach it. So it's quite good and quite useful. So I'm not giving points to anyone here. They're doing their own thing and it's okay. So I haven't counted properly, but I think I have a winner. Not for the sake of it, but just because I had a few problems while working with the other one. I think they are really interesting to have a look at. They are really interesting to get every once in a while because you get loads of patterns in each one. And maybe you have the opportunity to do things otherwise you wouldn't on your own. So let me know down in the comments what you think, which magazine do you usually go for, and other problems you've encountered, because it's really interesting to know. And don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. I would really appreciate it. It helps the channel a lot, and that way you don't miss anything. But I'll leave you 2 links so you can have a look at other interesting stuff. Bye!
Point for Burda. For Burda. This one goes for Patrones as well.